Hey there, this is Andrew, and I just got back from KeyForge Celebration yesterday, very late, very tired, and I wanted to go over the decks that I got for Sealed Alliance. So, two important things that you might not know. I'm not going to go over basic KeyForge stuff, but obviously these are Winds of Exchange decks. That is set 6, which is set to get delivered to us sometime in early 2023. Should be arriving to GameFound backers around then and in stores. But because I went to KeyForge Celebration in Minnesota, I got some decks early. I'll be sharing some of them on this channel and my other channels. And yeah, so these are Winds of Exchange decks. Most of these cards I had not seen before that day, before Friday. Now, another important thing I want to explain is this was Alliance sealed. In the Alliance format, instead of just bringing one deck and playing it, you can use house pods, which is the set of 12 cards that make up a house, from different decks, and you compose them together into one deck of 3 different houses, 12 cards each. So, and in Winds of Exchange, you also include a token from one of the houses, or from one of the decks that you're bringing. In Alliance Sealed, you open 2 decks, and you compose a deck from the 2 of them. So you can use 2 houses from one deck and 1 house from the other, or 1 house from one deck and 2 houses from the other, or 3 houses from the same deck. Any of those are okay, but you have more options and a little more control over what you bring to the table. So I'm going to go over these, then I'm going to stop before I talk about what I actually did, and I'd love for you to take a minute and write in a comment what you would have done. Then you can even pause the video at that point, or audio. Think about what you would have done. Let me know, and then I'll explain what I did and how it. Well, I'll tell you right now how it went. I went 4-2 and got knocked out of the loser bracket. There were 2 or 3 rounds left in the loser bracket at that point before they got to the top 8. Long bracket. So, all right, let's get into it. So this first deck is Radagon the Fastidiously Alert, and it has Sanctum, Star Alliance, and Saurian. And the token creature for the deck is Cleric, which is Sanctum, and Cleric is a 1-power human with the text, after Cleric enters play, capture 1 amber. Then we have Light Everlasting. This is a returning action. Get an amber, play a Sanctum creature from your discard pile anywhere in your battle line. I might actually have these arranged so that we see the returning cards first. So we have Light Everlasting, Glorious Few. It's an action. For each creature your opponent controls in excess of you, gain 1. The Grey Rider, 2-power human monk with deploy. Play, fight, reap. You may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. There's that new templating. After fight, after reap. Chal the Safeguard, 4-power human knight with 2 armor, deploy and taunt. Grey Augur, 3-power human monk with 1 armor, and each of her neighbors gains after fight, gain 1. Mighty Lance is an action. When you play it, you deal 3 to a creature and 3 to a neighbor of that creature. Now we're into the new stuff here, and I got Outflank. It's an action with an amber that says play. Each Sanctum flank creature captures 2 amber from its opponent. Pandulf the Provoker. That would apply to your opponents as well as your own, by the way. Pandulf the Provoker is a 4-power human knight with 2 armor, taunt, and play enrage an enemy creature. Battle Evangelist. I got 2 copies in this deck. It's a 3-power human knight with 2 armor that says after fight, make a token creature. Then we have Revered Monk, a 4-power human monk that gets +2 armor for each of its Sanctum neighbors. And Lightbringer Outpost. Outpost is a common thing. It happens across at least several of the houses, maybe all, I'm not sure. And it's this is an artifact with an amber. It's a location, and it has action. Put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck. If you do, and that's the common thing on these outposts, you put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck, and if you do, you get an effect. And in this case, the effect is a friendly creature captures 3 amber. Okay, into the Star Alliance. Pupgrade is a 3-power robot. This is new. It can be played as an upgrade instead of a creature. I guess these ones I don't have in order. So it can be played as an upgrade instead of a creature with the text, this creature gets +3 power and gains destroyed. Put Pupgrade on the right flank of your battle line as a creature ready. So that's kind of cool. It gives the creature it's on more power, but when that creature dies, it comes in and can be used same turn potentially. Detention Coil is not new. It's an upgrade with an amber, and it says this creature cannot fight. CXO Tabor is back, a 3-power alien Kirksix with After Fight, After Reap. You may play or use a non-Star Alliance card this turn. Red Alert is back. When you play it, if there are more enemy creatures than friendly creatures, deal damage to each enemy creature equal to the difference. Then we have Ballistego. So this is a new creature from Winds of Exchange, but it belongs in Saurian, and I got it in Star Alliance. It's a Maverick. It's a 5-powered dinosaur soldier. With play, you may exalt Ballistego. While it has Amber on it, it gains Splash Attack 3, and Splash Attack 3 is where it simultaneously with the fight damage deals 3 damage to the neighbors of the creatures it's fighting. Importantly, Elusive does not prevent that damage. Badge of Unity is an upgrade that says this creature belongs to House Star Alliance in addition to its other houses. That's an addition, so the house isn't replaced like with some cards that change the house, like Academy Training changes the creature to Logos. It no longer has its old house. Collector Borin is a 3-power human with play. Put an upgrade from your discard pile into your hand, and after an upgrade is attached to Collector Borin, ready Collector Borin. That's pretty cool, especially with upgrades like Pupgrade. You're getting a lot of value out of those things together. Then we have, are they linked? I wouldn't be surprised if they're linked, because this is not the only deck I've seen with both of them. No, Pupgrade is a rare. All right. Then we have CPO Zytar, a 4-power alien Proximan scientist with 1 armor. Enhances for a damage and 2 draws, and this one got a draw. I don't think we've seen any other enhanced pips yet. Then we have Friendly Guide, who's a 3-power alien with Elusive, and after you use one of Friendly Guide's neighbors, you may use Friendly Guide. We got 2 of those. Then Future Booster, which is a common artifact with an amber. It's an item. It says Omni, look at the top card of your deck. You may put it on the bottom of your deck. So that can be useful before you make a token or before you draw, just depending, hey, maybe I want to save this for later. You can also, along with the Outpost, you can use Future Booster and the Outposts and some other cards to start to shape the bottom of your deck. Maybe by the time you get to the bottom of your deck, you're drawing into, 8 cards of the same house. That could be pretty cool. I don't think I saw anybody totally pull that off, but it can be cool. Kind of bad if you're facing a Dark Discovery deck, though. All right. Rogue Operation is an action. This one got a damage pip on it. When you play it, you discard the top 2 cards of your deck, and you steal an amber for each house represented among the discarded cards. That's a really nice effect. Somebody mentioned like using that with Future Booster, but I don't think that really helps because you don't know whether the card under the top card is likely to be of the same house or not. I guess you could know the odds and go that way, but it would just be an odds-based decision. Okay, into Saurian now. We have Arm the Plebeians. It's an action with an amber. When you play it, you make a token creature and you ward it. And keep in mind, in this deck, every time it makes a token creature, that token creature is capturing one. So make a token is a form of amber control here. Then we have Chancellor Dexterous, a 3-power dinosaur politician that says after Reap, you may exalt Chancellor Dexterous's right neighbor. If you do, that creature belongs to House Saurian for the remainder of the turn instead of its other houses. So it really ends up being a form of ready and use, like you would see with Magistra Vita, but just worded a little differently, I guess, and potentially could play out a little differently depending on the details. All right. Praetor Marius is a 5-power dinosaur politician that says after Reap, for each exhausted creature to Praetor Marius's left, capture 1 amber. So you actually want to use the creatures first, and then you reap with this and do the capture. Or even new creatures that get played in would capture based on that. Recruit is an action. When you play it, you make a token creature. If you exalted a friendly creature this turn, you archive Recruit. Symposium is here. Is this reused art? I have to think about that. We'll see. Symposium is an action. When you play it, you exalt, ready, and use a friendly creature. If it's a token creature, you may exalt, ready, and use another friendly creature. So get 2 exalt, ready, and uses, which is kind of cool. And I am just going to check something really quick because that really looks so familiar to me. And I know, I've been playing this set a bit, so it's not like I haven't seen this specific art before. And of course nope, that is the same art from Hedonistic Intent. Yes, it is. Interesting. I hope they change that before they do mass printing. I will certainly send them an email about that. Probably someone else already has. Okay, moving along. We have Aquilia Lone Hero, who's a 6-power dinosaur soldier with 1 armor, and Omni Capture an Amber if there are more enemy creatures than friendly creatures. Regrettable Meteor is an action with an amber. This one got a draw pip on it. When you play it, you destroy each dinosaur creature and each creature with power 6 or higher. So some nice board control there, potentially. We have another Aquilia. And there's actually another Regrettable Meteor in here as well. This one without the draw pip. Then we have Rampaging Brutodon. This is a big one. 12 power beast with 1 armor. Play, make a token creature, and it does not interplay stunned, but in order to use it, you must destroy a friendly creature. So that is kind of interesting. Although, if you have token creatures out, maybe you use one of them, get value, and then destroy it as you're doing this. I think that's actually pretty good, and having it not interplay stunned, I think is quite good. Might be a creature you would destroy with Crushing Charge anyway. Crushing Charge is back. It's an action that says play, destroy each creature with power 4 or lower, gain 1 chain. And lastly, we have Faust the Great, also back from Mass Mutation and Dark Tidings. 4-power dinosaur that makes opponent's keys cost +1 for each friendly creature with amber on it. And when you play it, you may exalt a friendly creature. Nice synergy in that house. All right, or in that deck. Then, all right, but then I got to look at a whole second deck and decide what houses I wanted from which decks. So let's get into the second deck now. This deck is a memory that marches with Valhalla, which I thought was a pretty cool name. It has Unfathomable, which is where the token creature comes from. It has Equidon, and it has Star Alliance. So I have 2 Star Alliance houses to pick from, but let's dig in to the... Let's actually pull the Unfathomable up first, because that's where the token creature is. So the token creature is Raider, which is a 1-power Aquan, and Raider gains poison during your turn. That's kind of interesting that it's not all the time, but it's only during your turn. So there you have it. And I guess without that clarification, maybe it would be too good. I thought is there only one bubbles in here? Nope, there's two. I knew it. All right, so we'll start off with a familiar card. Bubbles is I got two of those. It's a 5-power Aquan that says play, put an enemy creature on top of its owner's deck. Very nice. Then we have Allusions of Grandeur. It's an action with an amber. When you play it, you choose a house on your opponent's identity card. If your opponent does not choose that house on as their active house on their next turn, gain 3 amber. So it's like Control the Weak, except they can disobey you. It's just if they do, you get 3 amber. So less strong, but a really nice card. Makes nice decisions, interesting decisions. Frigorific Rod, also back. It's an artifact with an amber. It's an item, and it has action, exhaust a creature or artifact. Thalassophobia is an action with an amber. When you play it, you discard the top 10 cards of your opponent's deck. Befuddle is an action with an amber. I think this is one of the stronger cards that I've seen in the set. It's a really good control card. And it's an action with an amber. When you play it, you choose a house on your opponent's identity card, and during their next turn, they cannot play cards of other houses. So if you have Dis, Logos, Shadows, I say, okay, Befuddle, Dis, and now you can't play Logos or Shadows cards. You could only play Dis cards. Very good. And if you combine that with a card like Allusions of Grandeur, which lets you then say, okay, and now I want you to choose Logos. They either have to choose Dis, giving you 3 amber, in which case they can actually play Dis cards, or choose the house you chose for Illusions and not be able to play any cards. They could still use board, which is, potentially okay, but it's a very interesting combo. If you play 2 Befuddleds, they can't play any cards. I got this in an Unchained deck with Brain Drain, where I could actually look at their hand and put a card back on top. Very, very strong. Okay, Sunk Cost is an action. When you play it, you choose a house. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand, and if the card belongs to the chosen house, so you guess a house, discard a card. If you guessed right, then you make a token creature. Okay, it's disruption, and you potentially make a token creature. 2 copies of Camillani, which is a 4-power Aquan with destroyed, make 2 token creatures. Not bad. 2 copies of Initiation, which is an action that says play, make a token creature. If you have fewer than 4 cards in your hand, archive Initiation. Yeah, that's also interesting. You obviously want to it incentivizes you to try to set up big unfathomable turns so that you can even maybe play 2 of these, have this be your 4 cards, which are 2 of these, and you get to play both and archive both. Toxicuta Venom is an upgrade with an amber that gives the creature it's attached to poison. Okay, very interesting. Then let's look at the Equidon. So Equidon is the totally new house. Every card in here is new to this set. Very exciting stuff. And the names are, I don't know how to pronounce some of these marks, so I'm just doing my best here. If somebody has knows of a guide that is actually, maybe they're modeling this after some real world language, I'd love to know about that. Gesdrucio the Arcane is a 3-power cyborg with action Steal 2, flip it face down. So you would action it, Steal 2, and flip it over to become a token. That's kind of interesting. Then we have Thoshra the Recruiter, who's a 4-power Gatrukia soldier that says after reap, make a token creature. That is pretty nice. All right, then we have, actually I'm going to do these in this order. This is the buggy combo. So the creature, Conductor Jeroya, is a rare, and then it brings in the 3 buggies, just like Z-Force Agent brings in 3 upgrades. So the first one I'll show you is Shigziso Buggy, which is an artifact and buggy vehicle with action, destroy a friendly creature. If you do, gain 2 amber. That's pretty strong. Then we have Shiznyasi Buggy, which is an artifact buggy vehicle, and it has action lose one. If you do, draw 3 cards. And then lastly, we have Shizyoku Buggy, which is an artifact, a buggy vehicle, with action reveal 2 cards from your hand. If they share a house, discard them and make a token creature. So I guess if you have all 3 of these, you can reveal and discard 2 cards to make a token creature, which you then destroy to gain 2 amber, which you lose 1 of to draw a card. So at the end of the day, or to draw 3 cards. So at the end of the day, you have revealed and discarded 2 cards of the same house, gained an amber, and then drawn 3 cards, which, you're controlling what you destroy, what you discard, so potentially very good. Then Conductor Jiroya is a 5-power Getrukia merchant who has After Reap ready each friendly buggy artifact. So you get to potentially use them twice in a turn, which is pretty cool. So that's some like serious efficiency potential there. Then we have Out Negotiate. This is an action with an amber. When you play it, you choose a card in your opponent's discard pile and you steal amber equal to the number of amber bonus icons on that card, and then put that card on the bottom of its owner's deck. So if your opponent plays Fertility Chant, they gain 4, you gain 2. You play this, you steal 4, and you put the Fertility Chant back on the bottom of their deck. It's pretty interesting. I think it's really good, interesting design. They potentially get that card back later, but they can't recur it. You're preventing that. And probably they get it at a time where they're going to play it and it's going to sit in their discard again, where maybe you get to do this to it again. So, pretty interesting design there. Then we have Shizyoku Swapper, which I have gotten burned by pretty hard. Same word as the buggy, that's interesting. Shizyoku Swapper with an O in Swapper is a 1-power, 5-armor Getrukia that says after fight, swap control of this creature and the creature it fights. So they both have to survive the fight. But that's very interesting. And if you get an opponent's card that is either in a house that you're using and has a really good effect, or just you want to deny to them, or has a nice static effect that you're just happy to have sitting on the board, this can be crazy good. Taya Arhi Esquire is a 2-power Getrukia that says each friendly non-mutant creature gains destroyed, make a token creature. Interesting way to get more tokens out. General Zaorha is a 4-power Getrukia soldier with skirmish, and after you play it, for each forged key your opponent has, make a token creature. And hey, at the very least, it's a 4-power skirmish. That's not terrible. Okay, then we have, I think actually, this was in the spoiler articles. Shrewd Investor is a 4-power Getrukia merchant with elusive, and after you play it, you may have your opponent gain 1. If you do, capture 4. That is interesting. It's an interesting choice. And in the right moment, it could save you the game. It also could cost you the game. Then we have the Visible Hand. It's an action. When you play it, you make 2 token creatures and you reveal your hand to your opponent, which is probably not a huge downside in most cases. So pretty interesting stuff. That's Equidon. So lastly, I'll cover this second Star Alliance house. So be right back. All right, Badge of Unity, we covered already. Makes the creature belong to House Star Alliance in addition to its other houses. Let me see what's common in here. Red Alert. Did we have? Yeah, we had a Tabor. We have a Rogue Operation. This one doesn't have a damage pip like the other one. Okay, I think all the other stuff is different. So then I'll show you the one card that's not new. Secura Droid, 4-power robot with taunt, but it can be played as an upgrade and it gives the creature it's attached to taunt. Then we have Quintrino Warp, which is an action that says choose a friendly creature and an enemy creature, destroy those creatures and each creature that shares a house with either of them, and then gain a chain. This is a pretty strong board wipe. I was able to, in a couple of games, cause minimal loss to me and a lot of loss to my opponent. FOF Transponder is an upgrade that says this creature gains destroyed, make a token creature, attach FOF Transponder to that creature. I heard of somebody with a deck with Berserker where they could attach this to a Berserker, and then during their Brobnar turn, they'd fight the Berserker, it would die from its fight effect, make a new Berserker that entered play ready, and they could rule of 6 Berserkers, moving the Transponder between them as it went, which is pretty crazy. Then we have Photon Blast. It's an action that says play, deal 2 damage to a creature with 1 splash, and if this damage destroys 1 or more creatures, make a token creature. Uplink. Upgrade with an Amber. This creature gains action. Make a token creature for each of this creature's non-Star Alliance neighbors. Shakedown Sullivan is a 4-power human that says after Reap, choose a creature and discard the top card of its controller's deck. If that card shares a house with the chosen creature, its controller gains 1 amber, otherwise destroy that creature. And then I have 2 copies of Recorded History, which is an action with an amber that says play, reveal up to 3 cards of different houses from your hand, archive each card revealed this way. Okay, so keep in mind you could not have both Star Alliance setups, but you can have one. You don't have to. Out of every, ultimately there are 5 houses available here. I'd love you to, take a moment, pause, think about it. What would you choose if you were building an Alliance deck? You have to use 3 of these house setups. What would you choose? All right. I assume you paused, you commented. We're back. I'll tell you what I did. First off, by the way, you can just use a deck, right? I didn't do that. I went with a 2 and 1. Out of the 2 tokens, Cleric seemed much stronger to me because it's Amber control. And so there are situations where this can and did save the game. So we'll put that Raider aside. Now, I think the Saurian setup here is pretty tempting, especially with the Cleric. Faust becomes very good with that. There's some decent board control options here. But I did not do that. And Future Booster seems very good, but ultimately I took a friend's advice and thought I actually think that the Recorded History is stronger. So I ended up choosing this Star Alliance from A Memory That Marches with Valhalla that has the 2 Recorded Histories, and it has a ton of token generation. So we're going to get a lot of clerics on the board. Then I decided, now, so that I didn't use the Saurian. That rules out the other Star Alliance. And I could decide not to use the Sanctum with the Cleric, but I actually thought it seems pretty good. Battle Evangelist is good token generation. Lightbringer Outpost is pretty interesting and was quite good. And I love Grey Rider, and I suspected there would be some big boards that might come, and that I would get good value out of Glorious View. Now, I actually didn't get as much value as I thought, but from what I hear in day 2, boards got real big, and so I suspect this would have really paid off later on. Now, you can actually switch between matches, so I could have switched into this later if I thought that was important. And Light Everlasting is such a great card too. So I ended up going with this Sanctum, and from Ratigan the Fastidiously Alert, and the Star Alliance from A Memory That Marches with Valhalla, and finally I took the Unfathomable, and I just really wanted that control. Befuddle seems so good. Illusions is a great card. Thalassophobia is good. Bubbles, good board control. And there's a lot of token generation in here. So what ended up happening is I could generate a lot of tokens The problem was it just wasn't always quite enough to stay ahead. And in the last game, it kind of put me in a weird situation because I had so much value on the board that I went into that, but then my opponent had some more amber control and was able to leverage that against me while they're cycling through cards, and I actually wasn't cycling through cards. And I wonder, with the Equidon, if maybe I would have been cycling a little better, but there's not that much board control, or not that much amber control here. There's a little bit, out negotiate, Gestruccio, shrewd investor temporarily, but there's actually not that much amber control here either. I really think the cleric was a good call. At that point, it probably makes sense to use the sanctum, but I just wonder if maybe I should have used the Equidon instead of one of the other two houses. Maybe I would have gotten farther. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I know either way, I had a ton of fun. I really like the extra. I really think there is extra player agency here. Not 100% player agency. There was another player that opened 2 cursed relics in their Equidon, and all the pips, or most of the pips, went into their Saurian house. So they took the Saurian house and they didn't take the Equidon house. That's super good. So they had a natural advantage that I didn't have. They did not. They didn't win the event though, so somebody else got something better or outplayed them. I don't know which it was. Maybe a combination. But yeah, interesting stuff. I do think there is more player agency this way, and I think as we get to know the cards, it'll be even more of a, okay, how are these going to fit together? Testing that skill of envisioning how the decks could work. And there's a limited enough decision space, in this case, 6 houses to pick from. It's not deck building. It's not like I'm having to sit there and min-max over every card. It really is, I have 6 options. I'm picking 3 of them. Some of them I can't even pick together, and just doing the best I can, and that is really fun, and I like it. So that's that. That's my sealed alliance deck. One other note I'll just say is that well, I guess a couple other notes. The terminology has changed a little bit now. So sealed is the opposite of standard. It's not the opposite of Archon anymore. So there was sealed Archon, which in the past would have been called sealed solo, and sealed alliance. And then on Saturday they started Archon standard, which in the past would have been called Archon solo, and alliance standard, which in the past wouldn't have been called anything. So anyway, there's a little bit of a terminology change. And then lastly, I just wanted to say, and I don't know, maybe I'll say in another video too if I talk about the event a little more, just thank you to the staff, the judges who did a great job, all the players, everybody who made KeyForge Celebration a really special and fun event. And thanks to you for watching or listening. Again, I really would love to hear what you think. If you think I could have made some better choices here, I'm all ears. And until next time, I hope you can get out and forge some keys.